Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, gorgeous. Don't forget to smile. As you look radiant as you are the queen of your Nile, wake up, beautiful. It's time to spread your wings. Open up your window and hear the songbirds as they sing.
Welcome to Good Morning Gorgeous, your Saturday morning dose of inspiration. I am Sharonda Steele, and
I'm yours truly, Larissa Williams.
thank you all so much for joining us on the podcast today. Our special guest is, well, I want to say Mrs. Dikiea Elery, Minister Dikiea Elery. She wears so many hats. Currently, the Associate Director of Religious and Spiritual Life, but really have had a career centered around youth and families. And one of the things that we talked about with this podcast was, right now we bring a lot of women on and they share their stories and information. But ultimately, the plan for this is to grow where we can impact whole families. So I
Yes.
love when we have someone on that has the range of experience when we think about youth, families, and beyond. And that's you. So I am glad, I am so glad that when I asked, you accepted the invitation. And I'm just grateful that you're here today. So welcome, Dikiea.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here with you all today.
Dikiea is like an incredible speaker, preacher. And I mean, I'm telling you, if you have not heard her before, and I'm still imagining you in this huge auditorium with all of these people, I'm speaking that she is incredible speaker and preacher. So I'm just so glad that you're here today and to have you on the podcast. But for those that don't know you, why don't you just start off with those that may be viewing or listening in, and just share a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Dikiea. As they say here in Ohio, like IKEA with a D, yes, because that's how they get the long I. Otherwise, they don't pronounce it correctly. I am the youngest of five. I am married with two sons. As I say, everywhere I go, they are truly my life's reward. I am in ordained ministry in the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, and I'm currently working at an institution of higher education as the Associate Director of Religious and Spiritual Life. I have a bachelor's in social work, a master's of divinity. I'm currently working on a doctorate of ministry. But all of those things that I'm doing are really just so that I can have access. I think that education will give me access to places that I may not be able to have access to if I don't have those credentials. So my point in saying that is I'm just a normal person like everybody else. I think we just have to be strategic in our moves so that we can have the impact that we hope to have in the world. So that's why I'm pursuing that level of education. And that's me. I love to sing. I love to write. I love to draw and paint. A very creative mind. But more than that, I just love people, and I like to see people reach their potential. So that's what drives me.
That is so good. And congratulations on working towards your doctorate. Look, after going through the experience, it is not for the faint of heart.
It really is not.
And it takes a lot of prayer and meditation to get through the process. So anyone that is going through, I'm like, I feel it, and and I'm sending good vibes your way. And you said something really important that I never really thought of, to be honest. I guess I have, but not in that way. That you are pursuing higher level of degree because it provides you with access to be able to go into spaces that you would otherwise be able to go or know that you can go. And we've been talking a lot about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And what does that mean? What does that look like? And, how do we dismantle these kind of barriers to
Mhm.
folks.
Mhm.
And a large part of being able to do that is being able to get into those spaces that
Yeah.
not everyone can get into,
Right.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
start making some change
Yeah.
there too. There's things we could do on the outside, but no, we need to be right with those folks that's building those barriers to start unpacking and be able to tear some of that stuff down. So that's
Absolutely.
so good. I think that's what we all really try to do in our area. If you pursue education or change work environment, experience, gain more experience, all
Mhm.
of it really is just to create more access, to be able to create some impact.
Ultimately. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about it, if I might,
Yeah.
is that I think, I have people in my family and people in my church and people who, oh, well, I don't need this and that. Or, I actually recently had a man say from a pulpit, like, some people's worried about degrees, but, worry about these degrees in hell, how hot it's going to be, that kind of thing. And I felt like it was a jab in a way, but I think that it's a shame that I even have to explain my motivation for
Mhm.
wanting more education, but I do it so that people understand it's
Yeah.
not really about the doctorate degree. I mean, I thank God for it. I'm working hard for it and I'm going to enjoy it. People are going to call me doctor, but it's not about that for me. For me, it's about if I'm going to be a paraeducator, I'm going to
Yeah.
take every class I can take to be the best paraeducator I
Absolutely.
can,
Yes.
so that I can have access. So it's not about you having to go do a doctorate degree, but it's about whatever it is that you're choosing to do in that moment or wherever you find yourself, equipping yourself to be the best of that you could be so that you can have access. Access happens at
Yes.
every level. It's not
Yes.
just high levels, but I think so many times we make the mistake of saying, woe is me, oh, I'm oppressed, I'm this and that. And we are. That's not to negate that. But when opportunities are placed before us, we also have to bust through some doors and break down
Yes.
some
Yes,
walls so that
ma'am.
we can sit at tables that people are trying to keep us from. And when you equip
Yes.
yourself, they can't deny you.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's just what it's about for me.
That is so good. I have a friend of
Yeah.
mine that does a lot of DEI work, and she said, sometimes when you don't have a seat at the table, you need to pull up your own chair. And
Make
if
Yeah.
you
your
need
own
to, you
seat.
create the
Yes.
table. But we will
Yes.
have a seat at it. Like
Yeah.
whether you want me to pull up my chair or whether you want me to create it and build my own, we will have a seat at that table.
Yeah.
So, a good equalizer in doing that is education experience and networking and getting in those spaces.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel
But
like
when
the
you
problem
don't,
that we have as African Americans is that we allow things that have happened to us in the past or things that have happened to our families. We have allowed that to define us, and we ourselves choose to follow that line. But we need to break those generational curses, and be able to step out, because if someone, just like that person that said that to you from the pulpit, he may have stopped at a certain degree. People's always hating. Let's just say it. People are always hating. But as us, the three women right here, as individuals, we may have come from the same kind of stuff, but we have not allowed that to define who we are.
Yeah.
We are wanting and we're seeking for something better for ourselves, for our families, and everything like that. So, it's up to each individual person to want more. And if you want more, get out there and go for it. It's going to be hard, but if you truly want it, then you work hard at it and you will achieve that. You can achieve that. So, y'all getting me worked up.
Hey,
Getting worked
it's
up.
good though. It's good. It's almost like a righteous indignation though, right? But
Yeah.
my son, I wanted to share this with y'all unplanned, but he sent this to me last night. It says, never underestimate a cycle breaker. Not only did they experience years of generational trauma, but they stood in the face of the trauma and fought to say, this ends with me. This is brave. This is powerful. This comes at a significant cost. Never underestimate a cycle breaker. And so, Larissa, as you were talking about those cycles and about the choices that we make to stay in those things, but we also can make a decision to break it and say, you know what, this is how it was, but I'm going to leave a different legacy for my children. And so my 21-year-old son sent me that last night. And what it says to me is that I'm walking that path of breaking the cycle of not being as educated as we could be, of staying in this stuff. Like, my family has this thing, they say, we don't apologize. We just move on like nothing happened. The devil is a lie. That's why we deal with mental health. That's why we're dealing with all of these things, because we think we're too prideful to apologize. There's nothing cute about saying in my family we don't apologize. We just move on, because anybody who knows anything knows that at some point that thing gonna come right back out from under that rug, right? And until you deal with it, it's gonna be a thing. We're not living like that anymore. So I'm thanking God that my son is saying, listen, you know what I mean? I'm not living into that. I'm not living into what they did back then. It's no disrespect to them, because they are why we're here. But then we also have a leg of this journey that we got to walk ourselves, that we have to be accountable for. Don't y'all get me started. You know I can go.
You better go ahead, girl, because I'm feeling it over here, okay?
Look!
I'm feeling it over here.
Look! I'm already bouncing a little bit. My feet getting antsy down here.
And you know I will run. You know I'll take off in a minute. I'm okay.
So good.
This is some good stuff.
Never underestimate the power of a cycle breaker. I gotta do something with that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
That is so good. That is so good. And I think, like, you know, when you think about kind of the work that you do, like, really that becomes a part of it, right? And sharing with students and families and everything that we do, like, you know, we have to have some element of that as we work with the families and folks that we all work with. I mean, you know, we've all in some capacity work within school districts or youth, families, and that has to become part of it, I would think, you know, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, for 11 years, I worked with Educational Talent Search, which is a college prep program for middle and high school students. I was a product of that program. And I think what's so remarkable about it is just the idea of helping young people understand that there are options beyond what mom and daddy did or what cousin across the street did. Like, you can do what you want. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but that means you can if that's what you want.
You can do it.
And so that I feel like that's half the battle, is helping people understand that they have a choice, that they have an option. So it is important to say, well, yeah, you know, when I grew up, I didn't understand how to be fiscally and financially responsible. But here's some tidbits for you. Why don't you look at this YouTube or look at this, you know what I mean? Because they have so many outlets and access to so much stuff. Like, they don't really have an excuse to not know how to do things. You know, we might have, and we not old, you know, but we still didn't have the resources that they have. So I think it's about, and you know, for the older people, also understanding and embracing that these young people have something to bring to the table, something to teach us, right? So instead of spending so much time fighting with one another about who's right and who's wrong, we got to figure out how to work together to advance our communities.
And utilizing each other's strengths and abilities to be able to do that. I mean, it feels ironic to say I was here during a time where there wasn't internet or cell phones. But it's true. I mean, I remember holding my first cell phone in my hand, which was that big,
right?
And not knowing how to work it. And that's a whole other story of what happened with that phone, because it wasn't mine.
And they were heavy. Remember how heavy they were?
They were heavy.
Oh goodness.
Yes. I mean, you know, but I remember just being amazed at, you know, folks that would have like the phone in their cars, and we thought they were rich because they had a phone like in their car, literally this house phone in your car. Now we literally walk around holding a piece that is a phone, a calculator, internet, phone, a TV, everything all in one.
Everything.
And it goes to show how so much is changing. And where we were born in a time where we didn't have this, now our kids are growing in a time where my 1-year-old grandson knows how to flip through the YouTube. You think I won't be able to learn from him? Absolutely, I will. So that's so good. That is so good.
So I have something to ask you, Dikiea. So I don't want to say what prompted you, but what drew you to the career field that you have chosen for yourself?
Okay. That's a good question. If I would sum up what I would say I do, I work in education, but I like to call this community ministry because I believe that I do ministry everywhere that I go, whether it's in an official capacity or not. And so right now I'm working at a private institution that is a Christian institution. And I'm doing this ministry every day, but I was doing this ministry every day when I was working at a public, non-Christian institution, just because it is who I am. But growing up, I just knew that I always wanted to help people. I would give whatever I had just to help people. And so at one point I thought that might be nursing. At one point I thought it might be teaching. I ended up in social work and ended up in ministry. And so I got here because this is where God called me to. It took me some time to work that out and understood what that meant. I never really had much interest in being like in a pulpit doing ministry, but like in the mud doing ministry, like with people who are at the base of need. So I did some work like with Salvation Army, working with homeless families. I did some work in the public school system. I did some work in daycare. So I've literally dealt with people from 0 to 100 in my career span. And I think that how I got here was just leaning into what felt right. There were a lot of different paths that people thought I should take. And I spent a lot of my life being very insecure and indecisive and doing things that other people thought I should do, that I could do and do well, but there wasn't any joy in it because I wasn't doing me. You know what I mean? So now I'm at a place where I'm like it or not, you can take it or leave it, but I'm going to be in my rightful place and I'm going to do me. And a lot of people don't understand it because I'm not your traditional, minister and that kind of thing. Like I'm rocking with going to church with my He Got Up shirt on, we do this Easter thing, but for the person on the street who can't afford that suit, I want to wear a t-shirt so that they know they're welcome too. That's who I am. Like all of the fanfare really doesn't mean much to me because I think at the base of everything, we are all children of God, right? We're all equal in that. And how do we help people who don't have resources understand that means them too? So that's where my heart is. That's what my work does. That's how I live my life. And I think that's how I got here.
That's
a lot of tears, a lot of praying, a lot of being confused, a lot of assimilating. I really just did live a lot of my life just trying to melt into everything and everybody else because I didn't think I was good enough. And now I'm like, you know what? No, this is good. This is going to sound very vain, but I've had to learn to say to some folk, no, you're not good enough.
Come on now. That's it. That's it right there.
We think that's conceited. Even I gave the caveat because it does sound a way, but it's true.
Right.
Like people have you so convinced that you're not enough, but really they're deflecting. It's them that's not enough, but they want you to think it's you. So I now know, and I do know that there are people who will have to go, no, thank you.
Right.
I'm good.
No, so true. I remember hearing someone say like, not everyone deserves the right to be in your space.
I know.
We have to get to the place where we can be okay with saying that. I'm okay with saying that. I am okay with saying that. We could be the best of friends, but when our time is up, our time is up.
The most powerful thing I have learned is that you have the right to give access or deny access. You do.
Yep.
Oh
It's
my
yours.
God. Oh Jesus. I'm messed up over here because I mean that right there, what you said about no, you're not good enough. That just messed me up. Oh, y'all can keep on because I'm about to start crying over here.
She keep her tissues. She keep her tissues on lock where every single time, just in case. But it's true, because people really will have you thinking that you are the problem, or that you are this, or you are inadequate, you are that. And I think, and what's so bad about that is if they do it to adults, imagine what's happening with children. And then people grow up with this idea of this mindset. And then as adults, we go, well, what happened? They're dealing with mental health and this and that. Well, where did it start?
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to check yourself and check what you are saying to other people, because you don't realize how that has an effect on someone else. That is so good.
I tell you what,
I'm a firm believer in, I like to say, happy endings. You are here for a season, but when your time is up, we'll have a happy ending. Goodbye. Yeah. I'm okay with that. We have to be okay sometimes with saying goodbye. That season is up now, and I'm moving on to this. Whether it's people, things, employment, where we live, everything. When your season is up, it's time to move.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on when she said where we do not have to allow everyone access. Everyone doesn't have to have access. And that goes back, that goes back to, and something else she said, she likes wearing her shirts and being, different and set apart. So I also do shirts. I do t-shirts and stuff too, but I'm going to have to bless you with a shirt that says, do you, be you, for you.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Because all the things that you're saying is be you.
Yeah.
Do you, be you, for you.
For you.
For you. So now you're going to walk around with that shirt on, and people, that God just said, just bless her with a shirt. So I will do that. Make sure I will send that and get your information. And we will meet so I can get that to you. But, this is some powerful stuff. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm just
absolutely.
You done
in every shape of the form, right?
Nuggets. Huh?
True.
To God be the glory. I think, one of the things that I've been asking people in the church is, we do this. There's 2 rules. Love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself. But we got to start asking ourselves, how do you love yourself? How do you love yourself? Because if you don't love yourself right and take care of yourself, if you're not gentle with yourself, if you don't respect yourself, I don't want you to love me like you love yourself.
Oh my goodness.
So it's more than this idea of, this idea of love. But no, what does love really look like in your life? And if you don't love yourself right, and I want to be very clear. I'm not taking anything away from or adding anything to the word of God. But I'm saying I do believe that God would bid us to dig deeper into this idea of love. What does that look like? Because if you don't know how to love yourself, you certainly don't know how to love your neighbor.
That's right.
So self-love is very, very important. If you mistreat yourself, how you gonna treat me like royalty? I can't respect that, because God loves you as much as God loved me. And the problem is we try to love everybody else and we don't know how to love us, right? Be you, do you, for you.
Yes.
Oh my God.
What I tell you. So good.
Oh my goodness.
But it's so true. And I think whenever you start coming to the place where you clearly understand and can move in that way, then you really truly understand what peace is. Because peace is not being this version of me that everyone else want me to be.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not when you get to the place where you have that inner peace. But so often that's the way we go every day, right? I have a very strong, rough kind of voice, right? Like every time I talk, it's just like I'm just pushing it out. Nothing about me is soft, right? But then I've been made, and at times it feel like I have to go in and be a softer version. And I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. Like, there's nothing about me that'd be like, hi. I can't do it. But people would make me think that I'm too rough or too tough because there's a piece of me that's bold. And for a very long time made me feel bad about that. I'm not gonna feel bad about the boldness that God gave me, especially if I'm using it in the right space at the right time when I'm supposed to. But I'm not gonna come in and be this little Sally, let me talk so soft for you because it'll make you feel better, right? It'll help, it'll ease you because then you don't feel so intimidated. I'm not doing that with people anymore. And after I came to that realization, I felt much better about my days. I'm not doing that for anyone anymore because I went far too long trying to live the way someone else thought I should live. And be unhappy in the process. Not doing it.
Well, and the other thing is this, in my opinion, is that when we do that, somebody doesn't get what they need, right? Because God doesn't make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So if God fashioned you to be the bold one, you know, and God fashioned you, Larisha, to be the level-headed one, you know, and God fashioned me to be the timid, shy one. When I come in the room trying to walk in what you are or you are, then that person that's timid and shy, they feel like there's no room for them. There's no space for them. So we all have a role. Everybody's not for everybody, right? There are people that are for the bold. There are people that are for the level-headed. There are people who for the shy. We all have our part. And if you think about it like a million-piece puzzle, right?
Yes.
If I try to make my piece fit in your space and it doesn't fit, we're never going to finish this puzzle because I'm steadily trying to force something that don't go. But
that don't
go. And put it right where it belongs, and then you bring your piece. Your piece ain't supposed to be the same as mine. It's a puzzle.
It's a puzzle. The pieces are supposed to be the same
to get the full picture, right? And if one of them's missing, I don't care if it's a million pieces. If one's missing, the picture's never complete. So we all got to be comfortable bringing our piece and understanding this. Catch this. You are a piece, not the piece.
Yeah.
So many of us think we the piece. No, honey, you just a piece. We all a piece. It don't work unless we all there. You know, I mean, it's just so much that we need to unlearn and be taught about living in a world with people who are different and about being able to accept and embrace people for who they are. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But that is between them and the God that they serve. We are called to love. You know what I'm saying? And care for one another. And the rest of it is just distractions.
Listen to me. We've been oh my God. We have been talking about this idea of belonging. And if you did not just sum that up right there, what true belonging really is exactly what you just said.
Yes.
I'm exactly what you just said. And utilizing that puzzle as an example.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
You are a piece, not the piece. And all of us are required to make it fit.
That's right.
Yeah. And you don't have a true space of belonging if someone cannot show up as their authentic self. Because if I can't come in as my authentic self, someone else won't see me to know that they can come in as their authentic selves either.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And so good and timely. Like, I mean, you summed up that whole idea of belonging. And we've been talking about that. It's like a buzzword right now. Like that's the buzzword everywhere you go. But you explained it so beautifully when we think about what does that mean.
I love that.
I feel so just blessed to be in you all's company. Like it feels like home. Like, you know, I don't want to be cliche, but it feels like this is where I belong. Like it, you know, we just talking, right? And we just talking about life, and we just talking about stuff. I can say these things because I've lived through these things. I can say these things because I've struggled with these things. And I think sometimes we don't want that struggle. We don't want that hardship, but some of the best wisdom, right, and growth comes from hard stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but we got to be willing to talk about it. This whole, no, we don't go to therapy and we don't, no, you need Jesus and therapy. You don't just,
Yeah.
because we don't have any balance. And
Mhm.
I
Right.
believe that God is a God of decency and in order, and that
Yep.
includes balance. So
Yes.
we really gotta be honest about some stuff, and we gotta be willing to do some things we never done to get where we want to
Yes.
be.
So
Yes.
good, man.
Yes. I tell you what, I I'm not even going to start because I'll start crying, but I just know that, see, there's different times and different things. If you know, as a people, we have to start paying really close attention to who God places in our life. And like right at this very moment, God appointed this time for the three of us at this time at 1:50 to be having this conversation. You know, I just remember as a little girl growing up, there were things that I always wanted. You know, when you're a kid, you have a list of things that you want when you grow up. And one of those things that I wanted as a little girl was that I always wanted to have just two kids, whether it be a boy and a girl or two boys or whatever. I always wanted two kids. But then, and I got at a different age, I remember that at a different age in my life, I wanted to own my own business. You know what I'm saying? So all of these different things, we think these things back then, but it may take years and years for it to come to pass, you know? And so right here at this very moment, at this appointed time, God orchestrated this.
Yes.
And I tell you, Dikiea, you have said some things that have been so impactful to me that God has set in, because there are things that I've been praying for, and just so many people that we have interviewed has all said something that has impacted my life, that has helped me to become the woman of God that He wants me to be, and the things that I'm supposed to do. Because through each conversation that we have, because I'm open to receive it, I'm not sitting in these conversations closed-minded.
Absolutely.
I refuse to do that. I am open-minded, and I want to receive whatever it is that God has for me out of each conversation and every woman that we bring on this podcast, because I want everybody to be able to grow. I want everybody to be able to be encouraged. You never know who God has in your circle is going to bless you. Not out of necessity, but it's going to bless you. And you have truly, man, you have truly blessed me today. I didn't mean to say all that, but I just.
To God be the glory.
No, it was meant to happen in this way.
Yeah,
It was meant to happen in this way. And we talk a lot about how we bring folks on. And I have yet to have a person to come on this podcast that I didn't learn from.
I know.
Or think different, or get excited about something in a certain way. Like, and that's the whole purpose of bringing all these women into a space together, is because someone will hear something from you or hear something from someone else that is going to help them with wherever they are in their lives. And I truly believe when Larissa first talked to me about this podcast, and I was like, yeah, we'll talk about it. I will see. And I was on because I had too much going on. But then it just kept coming back over and over and over again. And I truly believe that the folks that we have come on here are coming on for a purpose. Sometimes it's for us. Sometimes it's going to be for someone else. A year from now, somebody will see this video. And they're going to need it in that moment.
Right in that moment.
And what we're doing right now is beyond us. I truly believe it is beyond us. And that's what makes this so good. And like in this moment, we're saying, yes, like we're like, I needed this. Like you spoke to me. And a year from now, someone's like, man, that really spoke to me. Or 2 years down the line, that really spoke to me. And so I think that the space that is being created now for people to just learn from one another. And that's really what, as we're learning, others are learning, I think it's going to really have greater impact than what we ever probably could have imagined it to have. And this is just one of those examples. Like it really truly is one of these examples.
Yeah.
And
It's
I
like
knew you were going to be great, but honey.
Well, listen, God is great. God is
Yes,
great. I'm
he
just a
is.
willing vessel. I just
Mm.
want to show up and spend some time with my sisters and, talk and gain wisdom from one another. Like, that's my thing. I could do that all day because there's so much
Yes.
gift in it. That's
Yes.
what I was going to say, that wisdom is timeless, right? So it helps you now. But then, like you were saying, Larissa, in 2 years, it'll help you in a different way because you're at a different
Yes.
place. But it doesn't expire. That God is just so good
Yes.
like
Woo,
that.
yes.
It doesn't expire.
Yeah.
It doesn't expire.
Hallelujah.
It does
Hallelujah.
inspire, but it doesn't
It
expire.
Hey, there you
Yes.
go. There you
I
go.
love
Put your names
it.
to it.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yeah.
We've talked about so much today, honestly, but if you could just take a moment and think, for those that are maybe watching or listening whenever this podcast air and beyond that, from your experience, from your knowledge, from your wisdom, is there anything else that you would like to share with those that are tuning in?
Yeah. Young or old, I think that we all have to know that our lives, we were created for a purpose. And so there's something in me that is only in me. Okay. It's like there's something in you and something in you that's only in you. And when you get so consumed with everything else that you don't live into that, then there's somewhere somebody's hanging in the balance because they're missing something that they need. It's that serious. You have to understand it is that serious that we take care of ourselves and we live into who we were created to be, because if we don't, somebody misses something that they need for life. So when you have a person out here, right, your life is not your own. Yet we talk about mental illness, we talk about people committing suicide, all these things. That is removing a gift, right? That is removing a necessary resource from the world. That somebody that has something that somebody needed.
Yes.
So now God is faithful enough that God's going to send it in another way. But think about that.
Yes.
It's precious gifts that do not belong to us. When you have gifted it within yourself, it's not for you, it's for someone else. So when we look at kids and we go, that person right there might have the cure for cancer. And then we don't do what we need to do to nurture that child to the fullness of their potential, cancer continues to grow, right? And people continue to die because somebody didn't get what they needed because we failed to nurture and take care of that which was given in that life. So, I mean, if it's nothing else, just to hear me say that you might not understand it, you might believe in God, you might not. You got to know that there's a reason that you are here. And that reason is not for you, but it's for somebody else. So sometimes, even when it's hard, you gotta push. You gotta be steady. Sometimes all you can do is just get up and put one foot in front of the other, but you gotta do it.
You gotta do it.
You have to do it so that you can get what you need and somebody else can get what they need, because we don't do this by ourselves. We need each other.
Yes, so we do.
That's all I have to offer. It's just that there's purpose. So you live with purpose, but you live on purpose. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
Look, repeat that. Come on now.
I know.
You live with purpose, but you also have to live on purpose.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to get up and do it. Yes, there's going to be obstacles. Yes, there's going to be struggles. Yes, all of that. But none of that means that the journey is null and void. That's not what that means. It just means you got to figure out what your strategy is to get through the hard times. For me, it's God. I put my faith in God. I believe that nothing is impossible with God. That's for me. Yes. But one thing I've learned working this little religious job at this college, some of them don't want to embrace that God stuff, but that makes me nor God no never mind.
Yes.
We just splitting hairs. And one day you will come to understand what it is. But if you're not comfortable talking about it like that right now, let's talk about it how you want to talk about it. Because the point is to get you where you need to be. God gonna do what God need to do when he needs to do it. So I don't worry about that. That doesn't bother me. We can talk about whatever.
Girl, I can sit on here with you all day long.
I told you. I told you.
We're gonna
Like,
have to do a lunch, because when y'all was talking about those things that are ordained, God just recently revealed something to me that's been in the work for 35 years that he revealed to me when I was 10 years old. He told me how he started working on it. Now it's coming to fruition. So we need to talk about these things. We need to
All
swap
right.
these stories and encourage each other, because you was right.
yes.
You said that whole thing about how the manifestations of the promises, they come at different times. I'm trying to
Yes.
tell you, God showed me something that happened 35 years ago when I was 10, and God said I started working on it back then. He said,
Come
you sitting right
on.
here now worried about it. And I started working on it 35 years
Years
ago.
ago.
I got this.
Wow.
You just need to show up. I got this. I'm telling you,
Yes.
God blows my mind every day. Every day.
Woo-wee.
Every day.
Wow, man, that's so good. I had an experience probably about 3 years
Mm.
ago. And I was raised in church. I mean, you know, I
Mhm.
know the Lord, I
Mhm.
love the Lord, but I had an encounter
Mhm.
about 3 years ago that completely changed my life.
Mhm.
And in that moment, I knew it. And I said, Lord,
Mhm.
you got me. I'm rolling with you till the wheels fall off. And I'm not
Yes.
changing. I'm not changing. But we
Yeah.
all have those moments
Yeah.
where you have these encounters that, although you may have grown up in a church and you learn and you feel like you know these things, that completely shapes and changes who you are. And I had an encounter a little over 3 years ago. And ever since that moment, I knew it. And like you said, when you said, I got you, the Lord told me, I got you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about none of us. I am your defender. Don't worry about what anybody else say about you. I'm your defender.
Yes. Don't
And
worry
those
about it.
pieces of my heart that was broken, somebody was praying over me and said, she was touching my chest. And she said, I kept touching your chest because I could just feel the Lord just mending all those broken pieces together. I never
Yeah.
felt so much freedom after that
Yes.
moment. Freedom, pure freedom and peace. And I
Yes.
tell everyone, nobody is going to be able to separate me from this peace, because I know how long I've lived without it.
Yes.
So long I lived without
Hallelujah.
it.
Hallelujah.
And now I have it. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I get it. I get it. And I'm rolling with you till the wheels fall off. And
Hallelujah.
that's what I say every time.
Honey, we riding
Ooh.
rims.
Yes.
We gonna ride
Yes.
screws when the rims wear out.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Man,
Yeah.
that's so good.
Through
Yeah.
our
I
experiences, how
love
God
it.
had, when I think about where would I be? Where would I be without God in my life? No telling. No
I'm
telling.
trying to
Where would I be? I can't even see my life. I can't see my life without him. But as the older I get, at the age of 54, here I am, 54 years old. In 2020, I experienced something, because I literally thought in May of 2020, I literally thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was having a heart attack. It felt like this pressure was on my chest and I could not breathe, and I was could not catch my breath, and had to call my sons. My sons had to come over here. I was at home by myself. They were with their dad. So they had to come over here and take me to the hospital. But to make a long story short, it was anxiety. There was so much that was going on in my life at that time, that I was having all these fears and things, and I was like, all of these things was just so heavy and so heavy. But then God, in December of 2020, God woke me up early one Sunday morning and said, I need you to go for a walk. I said, but God, I gotta get ready to go to Sunday school, all these go to church. And God said, but I need you to get up for a walk. And he got me up in December of 2020 to go on this long walk, rolled out of bed, made me a smoothie, and I was out walking by 6:30 or 7 o'clock on that Sunday morning. Threw on a sweatshirt and all this, and God just started revealing stuff to me as I'm walking. I'm listening to his worship, his music, and I talk to my prayer partner that sends me encouragement every day, and then I'm listening to these music, these songs that were just ministering to me. And then God just started revealing all these different birds, like these cardinal birds that came in like group, not an individual cardinal. Because sometimes when you see a cardinal, it's one. God was sending male and female cardinals just in front of me, and they were all flying to one particular tree. One particular tree. And then as I was walking further, then I looked over in the lake and there was one herring. And then I looked further in that same lake and there was one single white swan. I didn't know what he meant by any of that stuff. I come home, I go to church, we had worship. I come home and I sit on my couch and God said, I need you to look up all that. So he had me look up all of those birds. So I'm sitting here on the couch and I had experienced something that the day before that Saturday, but God turned around and revealed to me, I had to look up the meaning of the birds that he just showed me that morning. So he revealed it to me that afternoon. What it was just like peace and love and relationship and all that. And then he revealed to me like some things that I needed to know in what I was dealing with at that time frame in my life.
Right.
And one of those things was my spiritual growth. Overall, how in that particular time, that the reason why I was going through what I was going through, part of it was that my spiritual growth was expanding. He was preparing me for my spiritual growth to expand. And then for me to be able to help someone open up and allow themselves to be loved or to love somebody. That's what he revealed to me. So my life is not the same. That experience right there, I will never forget. And that experience has helped me to this day. My reactions, my responses to things. Yeah. I'm not getting ready to let you bother me. You're not getting ready to distract me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If there's that little bit of temptation or distraction, God, I'm like, okay, Lord, I don't know what's going on, but I need you to reel me in. You know what I mean? Right. I don't want to be distracted.
Yeah.
My reaction to things are totally different from last year, from last week, from last month. Because I love my Jesus. And I know that he loves me. And that's the main person that we all need to keep happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So good. Honey, listen to me. In 1 hour, if we did not unpack so much, this was so good. And I truly don't believe things happen by accident. I know we've said that plenty of times before, but it was meant for this moment to happen. And Dikiea, I thank you for coming in and sharing your wisdom with us. And, I can just feel in my space right now, like it's so full. I can only imagine when other people. Now you getting to me, Larissa.
I'm just, you know me.
When other people get to have that encounter and have that experience. And I'm hoping that through this, it'll speak to someone. And I know it will. I truly do.
Yeah.
I truly do. So thank you for coming on today.
Yes.
I always tell them, don't make me cry because I'm a thug. Mess up my street cred. But I'm just so grateful and just blessed that you came and talked with us today. Definitely much needed. And I'm looking forward to just so many people that this episode would bless. And I truly believe that it will.
Yes.
So we are going to sign off. Otherwise, we could probably be talking for another hour, but I do think we need to get a lunch date on the calendar.
Yes.
But for now, we are going to sign off. Thank you to everyone that took time out of your Saturday to tune in to either watch or listen to this podcast. We truly do this in hopes that it'll be a blessing to others. And we're hoping that this one, it does just that. But signing off, as we always like to say, with Good Morning Gorgeous, find yourself,
Believe in yourself,
and love
and
yourself.
love yourself.
Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.